Coming up on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. It's not a Ford or a Chevy. It's a, well,
That's why I go to these car shows. I'm hoping to find another one.
some folks in the classic car hobby love building a masterpiece. But for others,
It's all about the hunt for us.
plus,
You have overspray on your battery cable.
Which looks like a mistake.
Looks like a mistake.
authentic to a T in Under the Hood. Trailer Queen, Schmaler Queen.
This, if I could get it running, I would drive it anywhere.
Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte, starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. I'm Jeff Phelps and we are at Sumitt Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. It's the 11th annual Blue Suede Cruise, one of the great events throughout the Midwest. Now out there on the quarter-mile track, there's always plenty of action, but there's always plenty of great classic cars right here next to the track. Sean, we were driving by, we saw this car, you weren't here. We had to find the guy who owned this car, we did. Thanks for being with us. What do you have?
1947 Chevy Fleetline Coupe. Shaved door handles. Just a really nice car.
What colors? What colors are involved?
It's Hugger Orange and Milkshake with a green apple pinstripe.
Nice.
383 stroker. It's got leather interior out of Oldsmobile. Monte Carlo frame, Boyd Coddington wheels. It's just really nice family cruiser.
How? And it is a family cruiser because there are car seats in the back
Yes,
seat.
yeah. 3 little girls.
How long have you owned this?
Since around November. A guy down in Kentucky did the body and the paint on it. He did that in September, and I'm really proud of it. It's a really nice car.
Now, Sean, I'll be honest. From a distance, we thought, well, there's been some body work done to this thing that's reshaped it. And then we got up close and we looked. Well, no, there isn't.
No.
Other than chrome being removed and giving it more of a, more of the hot rod look, more of the custom look.
Yeah. The only real body mods are the fenders where they go into the doors. Those would have been bolted on. The seams have been molded in. Same with the fenders on the rear. But other than that, that's the way it looked. V-butt windshield. So they took the center post out. But that's it.
I see
Really
no
nice.
windshield wipers.
Yeah, yeah.
What'd you do?
I'm working on that.
Now, the fact that you just picked this up in November and it looked pretty much like this.
Yep.
Is that good for you or is that tough for you? Did you want to do more to it? Do you want to do more to it?
It's kind of good because now you just work with what you have and make it your own. So just little changes, fix little things here and there. But
What do you have in mind?
I like to redo the carpet and the door panels. I don't really care for the material, but it's just small stuff. I had a friend of mine runs a machine shop make me the plate that originally went on the glove box door, so I could put that in. Just small stuff like that.
Well, it looks great. Certainly is snazzy. And I can
Thanks.
imagine it only looks snazzier with you behind the wheel and 3 daughters in the back seat.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Guys, we love stories about cars that have been around as long as people, in the families forever. Tom, your Plymouth Fury fits that. How long has this been in the Gavel family?
Since 1979.
79. And you were how old then?
11 years.
You were 11 years old when this car joined the family.
Yep.
And your dad just went out and bought it.
He just liked the color, the style of the car is a convertible. He just kind of fell in love with the dealership.
And what did it look like at the time, Tom?
Pretty much the same way it does now. Besides I repainted it, but it's always in good shape. Always kept in the garage, never driven during the winter.
So Tom, you were 11. Alex, you obviously weren't around. This car has been around in the family longer than you've been around. Have you driven it yet? Are you 16?
No.
Are you ready to drive it despite the fact that you're not 16?
I don't know if I'll be allowed to.
Tom?
Depends how his grades are. If he continues the way he's going, yeah, he'll definitely drive it.
Now we're talking. See what good grades can do for a kid? Nice job. This car sat for a long time, right? I mean,
Right.
just didn't get out on the road very much. Why?
Hard to find parts for, and needed really needed some mechanical work. I was getting married in '95, so I wanted to get the car on the road for my wedding. So that's when I took the car, stripped it down, painted it, to get it back on the road. It took us about 10 months to get it back on the road again for the wedding. Basically in a restoration of the car, getting it back on the road, that I found out that the color is called Hawaiian blue. It was only produced for 6 months in '68. That really attracted me to keep it that color. Plus, when I was doing more research on it, I found out manufacturer date was the same month, same year I was born, which is May of '68. You know, I love looking at the car, you know, when it's just sitting there, you know, underneath a tree or whatever. It's just a gorgeous looking car. Get compliments all the time on it.
It'll stay part of the family as long as the grades stay up, right?
He won't drive it, but it will definitely be part of the family.
It's not your typical, everyday, customized hot rod.
The flaggers, they interrupt me and says, "Can you tell me what kind of car you got?" We're all guessing.
The answer is next on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
Handling classic and high-performance vehicles requires an industry-leading team of experts. Welcome to RK Motors Charlotte. Industry-leading means meticulous attention to detail when servicing every vehicle. It means a consignment service so fine-tuned that a successful sale at maximum value is all but guaranteed. And a rigorous inspection on every vehicle before its tires even touch our sales floor. It's all this and more that make RK Motors Charlotte the industry leader. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Now back to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
Jose, everybody loves 57 Chevys. That's the iconic American car. This is its big brother.
Thank you.
And I love the look of it. It's a completely different look from the 57 and even the 5 and the 6 as well. And that's why we love it.
Well, thank you.
What is it about this car that made you think, yep, I want the 54 as opposed to any of the later models in the 50s?
As I started, I liked the style, and I said, there's not too many of this. There's some 53s, but I like the style of the 54, and I said, I'm going to be different. I'm not going to get the 5, 6, and 7, and I ended up with the 54.
Because the 5, 6s, and 7s...
There's so many. There's so many around, and I said, nah, let's go for this one.
How long have you had it, Jose?
I had it for 14 years now. I added a lot of extras to the car to make the car better and make it look like a little custom of it. I added the Continental kit, and then I added the visor, and then some of the dome lights, and I added the California mirrors. I added that too, and that's about it. I just made it a little better. I did that. It doesn't have the straight 8 that it had. You know, we added a 4.3 V6 motor to it, and Mustang front end, and a 200R transmission, and it rides like a charm.
The paint job, color original on the car?
I don't know, but they always tell me it's a egg robin blue color, and that's the original. I got the papers there that says the colors of the car, so. But yeah, that's what it is. And it's been on a lot of magazines. It's been in the Good Guys, Nats North of America, and I mean, I take this car with me all over.
The interior is really sharp.
Thank you. That was added on when I bought the car.
Where did you find the car?
In Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Well, Jose, the body lines on this are really cool. You know, the back fender's flaring out a little bit.
Right.
It's just a really nice look.
Thank you. Yeah, it got a nice style. That's why I liked it. Very well.
And I'm guessing when you're in it, you've got a pretty nice style too.
Yeah.
Hey, you got it on your shirt. What more can you say, Jose?
Hey,
right?
I didn't know that I wear this today.
Yeah, what a coincidence, huh?
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes,
a beautiful car, Jose.
Well, thank you so much.
Bob, I came walking through the field, and I thought, it's not a Chevy, it's not a Ford, but I had no idea what it was. And then I took a look, and I thought, well, what do you know? What do you have?
It's a 1952 French Citroen.
French.
Right.
52. Hot rodded.
Correct. It's all custom, tubular frame, disc brakes, air conditioning, power windows, leather interior. That's the way I bought it, so I don't know exactly what's inside the motor other than a 454 Chevy.
Where did you find this, Bob?
8 years ago, I know the guy that I bought this car from. He was building it. And when I was there working on his garage door, this car wasn't even a car, it was a frame on horses. And he was working on it, you know. And I never thought I'd end up buying it because it wasn't for sale. But I guess it took him like 6 years to build it. And then a couple years afterwards, he came down with cancer and died. I bought it from his wife. Yeah.
Have you ever seen another Citroen that was...
That's why I go to these car shows. I'm hoping to find another one. You know, but so far I haven't been successful.
How did he find it?
He lives in Vermilion, Ohio. And they have a summer house in Florida. And I guess on their way home from Florida, they accidentally came across this in the front yard for sale. They're a class of their own, and what I like about it, they're not a dime a dozen like, you know, Mustangs or Camaros or something, you know. I was told by a family member it's completely all new inside, the engine, board 30 over, and it's got I don't know what lift cam, but it's a wild cam, and I didn't know what it would turn on the track, so I took it out here for the first time in my life to race it, and it turned to 1366. So I was pretty happy with that.
There you go. Now what in it might still be like a 52 Citroen?
The headlights. Well, I mean the body, the grille, not the grille, but the hood and the body is still Citroen, but it's been chopped, I think it's like 2.5 inches. It's got a fuel cell in the tank. It's an 8-gallon fuel cell. I don't know what the gas tank was originally, but it's in the trunk now. And then only having 8 gallons, I'm always scared to go too far without running out of gas. You know?
Yeah, that would be a concern, wouldn't it?
Yep, right.
Interior-wise, it's beautiful.
I was told it's done by the Amish, somewhere in Ashland or somewhere out that way.
And I love the flames on the dashboard too.
Well, I hear mixed opinions about that. Some people like them, some people don't.
What do you think?
I like them.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's nice.
They're not coming off.
There you go. So here you are, the only guy I've ever met who owns a French hot rod.
Yeah, as I was racing at the track here, the flaggers, they interrupted me and said, could you tell me what kind of car you got? We're all guessing, you know. So I told them, and now they're peace of mind what it is when they see it now.
So they were in the same state of mind I was when I took a look at it.
Right, they're scratching their heads.
Does anybody ever come up to you and say, oh, well, perfect, it's a 1952 Citroen, French?
Yeah.
Really?
Not a 52, he knew it was a Citroen.
But only one guy ever?
Yeah, he had a French accent, and he was from France, so he knew the car.
Well, he had a head start on the rest of us then.
Yeah, I was surprised when he said he knew what it was.
Well, Bob, I love it, and thanks very, very much for sharing it with us. It's the only one we've ever had.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's been a pleasure.
Uh-oh, somebody sure made a yellow mess.
Yeah, at the factory they may have.
Oh, Under the Hood is next on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
Sally, Tina, Betsy, you've developed quite a bond with your classic car. Let the consignment professionals at RK Motors Charlotte make the selling process as painless as possible. Through precision marketing and large customer base, we all but guarantee a sale at maximum value, and we don't get paid until your car sells. We've sold over 1,500 classic cars here at RK Motors Charlotte, and now we'd like to get to know Betsy, at least for a little while. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Under the Hood is presented by RK Motors Charlotte, specializing in the sale, build, and restoration of world-class collector vehicles.
There are things in the classic car hobby that you may never, ever even think of. That's why Mike Velick, the restoration manager here at RK Motors, is so critical to what we're trying to do, because this man knows what he's talking about. We have two beautiful Mopars side by side. You'd think, great, either one of these could win a car show. But one has a huge edge, all because of Mike. Let's start with this GTX, Mike. It looks beautiful under the hood.
Absolutely. This is a very nicely restored GTX. Absolutely beautiful. They did their research. They did a nice job. Little details. Chrysler spark plug wires, you know, trying to give it that authentic look. Little things like you'll see the correct green spring return for the throttle cable. You've got Chrysler marked hoses with the correct part numbers, the stickers, you know, everything. You've got the correct Hemi, the air cleaner decal. You have the nicely restored components like the wiper motor. You know, everything looks clean, looks detailed, looks beautiful. You also have a correct restoration Mopar battery, which is one of those things that they like to see in the field. And you're going to get extra points for correct components like that at a show. You know, you look at this and somebody went the extra mile. They've got the stickers. They've got the correct Mopar radiator. They've got everything going for them.
And it looks great.
And it looks great.
However,
at a show, if these two cars were sitting right next to each other in same class, even if that car was slightly nicer than this car can take it over the top. And here's why.
I love this.
Okay? For instance, when Mopar, for instance, when they did all their cars, the Hemis, when the battery cable was put on the motor previous to going in the car and previous to paint. So as you see on this car, you have overspray on your battery cable.
Which looks like a mistake.
Looks like a mistake, which we have to make it look like a mistake because that's the way that they did it. So there's extra points. Here on your head or on your valve cover, you'll see 3 inspection marks. Why are they like that? Somebody did their research. Maybe that inspector, that's what he wanted, so his manager down the line knew, yep, he checked his job off, perfect. You might think, oh man, look at that mess.
Somebody spilled some yellow paint.
Somebody spilled some yellow paint. Yeah, at the factory they may have. That is an inspection mark. Whatever that inspector's job was, maybe his job was to make sure your master cylinder lines, oh wait, no, maybe that was that inspector's job to make sure your lines were straight. Maybe it was this guy's job to make sure those nuts were tightened. Little tags. Here we've got the antifreeze. This guy made sure, oh, look at me, I signed my name, I checked it for the correct temperatures.
Yeah, somebody wrote on our car.
And did a grease marking for it. You know?
Which is good.
That is good. This is what these guys like to see. These little inspection markings, you've got your plug wires are marked. You have an okay for the paint. This was a paint inspector saying, yep, he put his paint on our paint to say our paint's okay. There's many different things that put this one over the top.
And if you're restoring a car and aren't aware of this, aren't thinking of it, you'll think you've done a beautiful job, which you have.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't have the authenticity of all the extra marks.
And all that is somebody took that extra time to do their homework and do some research, which is out there.
And Mike, the thing to me that's really almost funny, those stamps don't happen by accident. There are manuals that show you where those factory markings were. There are stamps that are manufactured to reproduce those marks along with the paints and everything else.
These are some of the stamps that would have been for, we've got some GM, this would be for your Camaro, and it was a stamped P. This was the paint inspector.
And you can actually go out and buy these.
Yes, you can buy these through restoration companies, through the catalogs, online, anywhere. You know, B, that was the body inspector. The T, that was the trim inspector. I mean, so, you know, things like this. And then there's places online that will show you where it would go.
Where it would go on the car.
Now, as you've seen on the one, you see the little run of paint going down. Looks like a mistake. Well, these guys didn't care. This was their job and it was a quick. So they say, if you really want it to look more authentic, don't be nice and neat and perfect, because they were sloppy on them. They don't say line them up on a car. If you're gonna take and you're gonna stamp your firewall for this, that guy didn't go. You know, he went like that. So that's what you're looking for.
It's one of the most absurd things I've heard in the classic car hobby. And thank you for sharing it with us.
Absolutely, Jeff, not a problem.
All right, Michael.
Under the Hood is presented by RK Motors Charlotte, specializing in the sale, build, and restoration of world-class collector vehicles. Visit our website at rkmotorscharlotte.com.
When it comes to restoring or servicing your classic or high-performance car, expertise is the name of the game. And that's precisely what you'll find at RK Motors. You'll find our expertise in the attention to detail that can only be acquired through years of working on world-class builds. You'll also find our expertise in the RKM Performance Center, where we've assembled a team of highly qualified ASE-certified mechanics. When expertise is the name of the game, trust the experts at RK Motors. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Now back to the Blue Suede Cruise on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
Ron, I've got to be honest with you. We usually refrain from putting trailer queens in our show. But we're going to make an exception with your car.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Your trailer queen is a 1926 Model T Ford in need of a little TLC.
It needs a few things. As soon as I get the tires mounted on it, we'll be on the road.
Now, your son told me, and this was the fun thing for me because I take a look at it, and it's been around, but you've known about this car for how long?
It's somewhere between 20 and 30 years, yeah.
And you've been pursuing this car for 20 or 30 years?
Yes.
I gotta be honest, Ron, this doesn't seem like the kind of car you'd pursue for 20 or 30 years. What were you thinking here?
Well, what folks don't understand unless they're on this side of the aisle, okay, first of all, let me correct you on Trailer Queen.
Please do, thank you.
Trailer Queens are a car that I polished up. I spent $80,000 on, and I'm afraid to drive, so I put it on a trailer.
Yeah.
This, if I could get it running, I would drive it anywhere.
So in other words, it needs the trailer.
It needs the trailer at this point. But it's all about the hunt for us.
Exactly.
And when you find something, you have to get it back to the hobby. So that's part of the reason that we find these.
Where did you find it? And 20 or 30 years ago, what's the story behind it?
Well, it was setting in a barn. It's the same story. Anybody that's watching this show will understand that, hey, I'm going to restore it. I'm going to fix it up. No, I don't want to sell it. And that's the story on 90% of these cars that have survived 20 or 30 years in a barn. And when they do that, they only let it set and rot in the ground like you see. And that's exactly what happens. And then finally, when they come to the realization that, you know, the equalization of age and enthusiasm catch up with one another, it's time to get rid of it.
And after so many years, this guy finally did?
Finally did.
And what'd you do, call every year?
I went to see him twice every year.
And why did you want this car?
Again, it's all about the hunt.
Okay.
It's all about the hunt. It's about finding that diamond in the rough and walking away, and you can travel around with your grandkids and your son and talk to enthusiasts in this business.
Now, I will say there's a for sale sign on the door. Right before we started the interview, cell phone call, boom, done, sold.
It's sold.
Congratulations.
It's sold, yeah.
To give it to someone who will get it back going and do with it what you want to see done with it.
The gentleman that bought it lives close by here. He told me he has 42 cars. So this is like having a dozen children. One more's not gonna hurt.
Thanks to everybody at Sumitt Motorsports Park. We always have a great time when we come to the Blue Suede Cruise. I'm Jeff Phelps. We'll see you next time on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.